All right, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. It is Wednesday, I believe. And we had an interesting stream yesterday, and it really influenced me to do this video because I was talking to somebody in the UK, I believe he was from. And it really goes to show, and in that conversation, this is of no disrespect to that man, but it shows how out of the loop a lot of people are when it comes to the United States of America. Definitely from the perspective of people that aren't here, but even from the perspective of people that are here. So the topic of this video is obviously surrounding the modelo, is what we call it here, the modelo. It is what is sweeping the entire world right now and has a lot of us on lockdown, okay? And I just want to put things in a perspective, and there's something that I'm going to reference here, okay? I'm going to try to leave my bias out as much as I possibly can because I want this to be informative. And again, it's a matter of putting things into perspective is the whole point. Now, I'll end it with sort of putting that into perspective. But before we get started, keep in mind that population in America is what, almost 330 million people, maybe? Roughly? Over 300 million. I know that much. People in the country, in the entire country. There are 50 states. There are thousands of cities. I need you to keep that in mind. 300 some million people live here in America. There are thousands of cities, 50 states. Okay? So let's take a look at this. And we're talking about the confirmed cases, and we always have to reiterate what the confirmed cases are. Those are the cases that we know about. Those does not mean that that's all the people that have had it, had it in the past, passed through, the people that are asymptomatic, the people that have mild symptoms that never go to the hospital, get tested. They're not going to be considered in this. This is only the confirmed cases that we are talking about. The United States of America has 417,000 confirmed cases, a little over 14,000 deaths. Okay, 300 some million people here. Take that into consideration. Keep that in mind. So we're going to go to this state called New York. Now, New York has 138,000, almost 139,000 confirmed cases. They also have almost 5,500 deaths. Keep that in mind. Okay? So when you do the math, that's telling us that a third of the confirmed cases in the entire country of 300 something plus million people, dogs are barking, but a third of the confirmed cases are in one state. And a third of the deaths, a little over a third of the deaths are in one state, and that is New York. But then we look at New York a little bit more in detail. There's a city called New York City. Now, New York City is the most populated city in the country. And I know you may watch movies and stuff like that, and maybe people even there don't really understand it. But not everybody lives like they do in New York. It is a very unique city, and people that have been there actually know that. Not everybody, actually, the vast majority of the rest of the country don't live like they do. Not as close quarters, not as like from a lifestyle, from a cultural standpoint. It is a unique. NYC is a very unique spot. People don't live like I'm from South Dallas, Texas. We don't live nothing like that. But with that being said, they have 77,000, almost 78,000 confirmed cases and 4,111 deaths. So what is that telling us? That is telling us that 56% of the confirmed cases in the entire state are coming out of one city. And if you look at the deaths, 4,111 deaths. And in the entire state, there's 5,489 deaths. That means that 75% of the deaths are coming out of one city, roughly. 75% of the deaths in the entire state are coming out of one city. So if we backtrack and we look at it in its entirety, when you look at there are 4,111 deaths, and then you look at the United States of America, which has 14,183 deaths, 30% of the deaths in the entire country are coming from one city. Perspective is very important. This is why, and this is the part where I kind of got to let my bias show just a little bit, but I'm not going to do it too much. This is why I say that the one size fits all thing and the one size fits all approach for every single demographic, every single area, every single region, when it comes to mass lockdowns, is a terrible idea. I'm not the only one saying this. Your beloved experts, some of them are saying that as well. It doesn't impact. So we know that when you take this into consideration, and some of the other videos, for example, where I talk about how many, who it's impacting in terms of having severe reactions and deaths, the most, it is not. There's a big time block of people that are under the age of 44, even in New York City, for example, that are not really they're not using the hospital resources, which is the whole reason why we're supposedly doing this thing. So we don't want to overwhelm them. They're not using the hospital resources. I believe it's only 4% of them under the age of 44, 4 to 5, maybe 5%, I believe, under the age of 44 are actually using the hospital resources, hospitalizations. That's just showing you what the data shows me. But it doesn't impact different demographics. It's not impacting areas the same way. Texas is a highly populated state. It's a big, massive state when you take that into consideration. But looking at this, we have 177 deaths. That's it. In the entire, we have two big metroplexes. We have Dallas, where I live, in DFW. You have Houston, which is actually Houston. I believe it has the biggest metroplex. We have 9,353 confirmed cases and 177 deaths. So the whole entire state's basically in lockdown. Now, look, guys, as more information is coming out, more experts are coming forward, and you're seeing that the experts don't even agree on this very subject, I think it's safe to say that there's we can stop with the appeal to authority thing. And I want to encourage all of you guys to use your brains and actually think this through and put things into perspective when we talk about numbers and data. There's certain things that models, I know that they love to build to try to guesstimate what's going on, how this is going to react, how the people are going to react. Certain models cannot take into consideration, all models can't really take into consideration culture. They can't. It's nearly impossible for them to do that. People act differently in different places. This in itself is impacting people different places, different ways, and even in the implementation of the lockdowns. Maybe they didn't think this through.